Hello, everyone. Welcome to Christopher's Entertainment Blog. I'm your host, Chris. Welcome to my 100% spoiler filled review for Star Wars The Force Awakens. Episode 7, guys, is finally upon us after 3 years of waiting, from when Disney bought Lucasfilm, bought Shane. And now it's been 3 years. I can't believe that. And we finally get Episode 7. I didn't think this would ever happen at all. I thought back in '05 when Episode 3 came out, I was like, that's it. That's the end of Star Wars. Okay. It ended not on a great note, but it ended, and there it is. There's the six films. There's the story. And then, George Lucas was like, well, I wanted to tell, 7, 8, and 9, but, and he just never did, you know? And then when he decided to sell, I was just like, this has got to be a joke. And when I first seen it, I was like, wow, that is a great Photoshop. When they showed George Lucas and Bob Iger together and they were signing that contract, I was like, wow, that's fake. That looks fake. And it was real. I couldn't believe it. But wow, I got to say, this film is fan freaking tastic. I loved it. I loved it. The prequel, here, let me say, the prequels, I thought episode 1, The Phantom Menace, was kind of mediocre. It was okay at times. It was okay. The fights at the end was okay. But it was just okay at times, and then pretty. And a lot of people think it's pretty bad, and I don't blame them. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, I thought was horrible. I don't like Attack of the Clones at all. There are a few parts here and there that's okay, but for the most part, I don't like it at all. And the chemistry between Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman, oh god, I hate those two together. They look so awkward when I was watching that. I mean, this is so awkward. Episode 3, I thought that was the best one out of the obviously out of the three, but so I mean, I liked. I thought episode 3. I liked it. I thought it was okay. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I didn't think it was terrible. But that's not saying much. um, but then you have the great original trilogy, and then they're kind of getting destroyed by all these specialized editions, and it's just not good. A lot of things being messed around with. It didn't really need it. Some things improved, some things, and some things are just like, why are they even there? Um, but there they are. And then this film comes out, and it reminds me so much of the original trilogy. And I think there's a little hint of the prequels in there, a little bit, not a lot. There's not a lot. It's more original trilogy, but there's a global scale of the prequels in there where you didn't really get that so much out of the original trilogy, but the big cities and everything, because they showed in this film, they showed that big city, getting destroyed. They showed the one of the planets, and a huge city getting destroyed. You didn't really see that in the original trilogy, big scale cities like that. So um, it was just I was just in awe watching this film. I mean, when it first started, that Lucasfilm logo, then a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I was just, wow, this is insane. And then the Star Wars logo, comes up, and the music is blaring, and people are, hollering and screaming, and they're excited. And the crawl comes up, and I'm just keeping my eyes on the screen and reading that. And it was a great crawl too. Everything it told you exactly what was happening, what was going on, right to the point, and we're into the film. So of course, there's some other questions of it's been like 30 years or something from the last from Jedi. So I mean, there is a huge gap there, and there's some other things they could have told in there, but it was a lot to cram in, like a two hour film. It was a lot of history that they had to cram into this film, and this film was quick, man. It moved at a fast pace, really quick. And I wasn't, I can't believe anybody would be bored with this film. I mean, with the prequels, you had slow dialogue with taxes in Phantom Menace. You did, and it's hard to concentrate for a lot of people. They would just be bored, unfortunately. That you're dealing with tax federations and taxes and politics and politicians and not much happening. Senate debates and just slow dialogue. In this one, it was quick. I mean, there was action going on. There's scenes with people fighting, and there's star destroyers moving around in space. There's X-wings flying around. There's lightsaber battles. There's so much happening in this. There's explosions. There's blaster. Han Solo's in it. I mean, all this great stuff. I mean, it's just so hard to just. I can't believe that I've actually seen this film. It's just insane. But some of the stuff I like. I mean, everything I like. I mean, I enjoyed this film so much. And I certainly hear the valid point that it's a new hope layered over with a new, with this new story, and it does emulate a new hope, but that's okay with me because I mean, let's go back to what was great. Let's go back and do that what was great and kind of emulate that, change up a few things here, and create a new trilogy. Why not? I mean, it worked the first time, and New Hope is great, so why not do that? I don't see anything wrong with that. They changed a few things here and there, and I thought it was entertaining. I was like, why not? Um, but I gotta say, everybody in this film, I think, did a fantastic job. I mean, except for maybe, I mean, you could nitpick that Carrie Fisher was a little wooden, but she's been out of the game for a while, so I'll let that pass. Um, but Oscar Isaacs was great. John Boyega was fantastic. Daisy Ridley, man, wow, she's going to lead this franchise in great place. She was great. I thought she was excellent. She might have been my favorite, character in the movie. I mean, Kylo Ren was excellent too. I liked his character a lot. Um, that he was this, twisted up kid. I mean, guy that's, trying is being seduced by the dark side, by Snoke, and he's got problems with his parents that Han Solo, he wasn't really there for him, so he's twisted up inside with that. He's got the dark side, and he's fascinated with the dark side, and with his grandfather, who's Darth Vader. I mean, there's a lot going on there, and there's a lot of confliction inside of him there that he's got this conflict that's going on inside. He's not. I don't think he's 100% bad. I really don't. I mean, it didn't really seem like, even though he killed Han Solo. I think that's him trying to convince himself that he is bad, but he was still broken up. You could see it that he was still conflicted and kind of just crazed by it, and he's just so twisted. Um, and you know the whole thing with Daisy Ridley and her trying to on Jakku, and that those whole scenes with her, and then BB-8. Oh man, BB-8. I gotta say BB-8 is great. I mean, he's actually overshadowing 3PO and R2. I mean, I was like, wow, this BB-8 is just not something that they created to sell toys. This is a cool little character. I mean, I can't believe that they actually got emotion out of a ball, like a robot, something that's not even alive or real. Like you could just see the emotions, when he was like turning his head on the ship between, uh, Ray and Finn, after Finn told him that he wasn't really with the Alliance or the Rebels or whatever. I mean, it was just, or the Resistance. I think that's what it is, Resistance. Um, and then he's like, he gives him the thumbs up, and the little lighter comes. I mean, that hilarious. They had the humor in this film. Was unexpected for me. I didn't think that we were going to have humor like that. And there was a lot of scenes in there that I laughed. I mean, and usually in a lot of films or comedies, I don't really laugh. I mean, they're not really that funny to me. But in this, people were laughing, and I thought they were funny. I mean, that thing with BB-8 with the lighter was funny. There was a scene with Chewie and Han where, where Ray asks Chewie if Han Solo is the war hero, and Chewie just like nonchalantly just shakes his head, funny, and that was hilarious. People were laughing at that. That was funny. The scene with on Jakku with Ray and Finn as they're trying to escape, and they see a ship, and they say, that ship, and Finn's like, what about that one? And Ray's like, no, that's junk. And then they're moving through the ship, and it blows up, and they're like, okay, junk, let's go with the junk. And they pan, and it's the Millennium Falcon, and people in the theater just explode. I mean, just busted out clapping and laughing, and that was great. That was really fun. Um, and Han Solo coming on the screen with Chewie, and people were clapping for Han and Chewie. It was just what an experience. And the Starkiller Base. Yeah, it's the Death Star. Over again. But it's a pretty badass. It was a planet. That destroys whole star systems. I think I mentioned that in one of my other videos. And I thought it was devastating. I was like, wow, this thing is nasty. I mean, it destroys not just one planet, but it can destroy multiple. Insane amount of destruction. Um, but there's so much going on with this. I mean, Rey being, a forced user that, I don't know if she's has her memories suppressed by whoever her parents were. There's a lot of rumors going around that maybe her father was Luke. I mean, I don't know if I'm convinced solely by that. It does seem like that's what they're trying to point at, that Luke's her father, or it's got to be somebody that was a Jedi or a Sith or something, because she's strong in the Force. I mean, she's powerful. I mean, she's picking this up, out of nowhere. I mean, she's mind controlling dudes and picking up lightsabers and fighting, and it's just like, okay. That was one of the problem. I'll go into a negative real quick. That was one of the negatives I had with that whole thing was Rey doesn't have any training that we know of. And then all of a sudden she's mind controlling people, and she's picking up a lightsaber, and she's dueling with he's not a Sith Lord or anything. He's not a Sith. Kylo Ren is not a Sith. But he is strong in the Force, and he has been trained. He was trained by Luke. So let's keep that in mind. He was trained by Luke for a while, and then he turned to the dark side. And he's kind of a poser. He's trying to be Darth Vader. He's trying to be a Sith, but he's not. He's not. But he is trained, and Rey is keeping right up with him. And I was like, well, shouldn't he just destroy her? And Finn too. I mean, Finn is not even strong in the Force at all. I mean, he's not a Force user, and he's wielding that lightsaber around like he's a seasoned pro. I was just like, okay, wait a minute. That was weird. The whole Finn being able to fight him for that amount of time. I wish it wouldn't have been that way. But then I heard I read somewhere that Kylo Ren was shot. He was bleeding out. He was bleeding. He was hurt. So he was weakened. So it kind of makes sense that maybe that's how they kept up with him, because he was weak. He wasn't at full strength. That makes sense. Another thing that makes sense is that for Rey, she might have been trained at one time. Maybe she was trained by somebody, and they wiped her memory and put her on Jakku. I mean, she was a child, but maybe she's had some type of training at one point. That might make sense. But the whole Finn being able to wield that was kind of odd to me. But he does get beat, and I was like, okay, because I think it was going on a little too long. Even though Kylo was injured, I still think he shouldn't have had as long a time as he did fighting him. But and another weird thing is that when he beat Finn, I assumed that he killed Finn. I mean, am I the only one that thought that? I mean, because when they carry him back to the ship and whatever, he looks like he's dead to me. But I guess he's not. I guess he's in a coma or something. But the way it looked, it didn't look like he was breathing. I was like, well, he's dead. And just the way they made it sound to me, it looked like he was dead. But apparently not. Apparently he's alive. So, but that was just weird for me. And then on negatives, the whole Han death. I hated to see Han Solo die, but Harrison Ford's been wanting to kill him off for a while, so that makes sense, I guess. I heard, some people say, well, there wasn't an emotional connection between Han and Kylo, so you didn't really get no emotional feeling out of him killing him, even though you hated to see Han die. Um, but there wasn't really an emotional connection there. But for me, it was kind of emotional because you could see in Kylo Ren's face, or Ben is his name, Ben Solo. Um, you could see in his face that he was conflicted, uh, and he was basically forcing himself to do that. And even though I seen that whole thing, I seen a mile away. I knew he was going to die as soon as that confrontation. I knew he was walking up there. I was like, well, he's going to die. So it wasn't, there was no suspense there for me. But I didn't mind it. I didn't mind that at all. Um, so yeah, I mean, but it sucked. It really, really sucked to see Han go because now he's gone. And so yeah, guys. I mean, so much stuff happening in this film. And another one that I can touch on is Captain Phasma. Um, Captain Phasma looks very cool. Didn't have um a lot to do. She wasn't there very much. I thought she was going to do a lot more, and then she got held up, and she lowers the shields quite easily. And then they said we're going to put her in a trash compactor, and they never showed that. And I was like, what happened to Phasma? I mean, so hopefully in episode 8 they'll do more with her. Like, I don't even think she shot anybody, did she? I mean, I thought she was going to be a badass. I mean, she's kind of like what I was reading online. She's kind of like the new Boba Fett. I mean, Boba didn't really do much either, really. I mean, a few things here and there, and that was it. I mean, not very much. So hopefully they'll have her do more in episode 8. But I mean, kind of a throwaway character, unfortunately. I mean, it's Gwendolyn Christie. I mean, she's a Chrome Trooper. I mean, a female trooper. I mean, looks awesome. Damn, I wish they would have done more with her. Another thing, like I said, I mean, Carrie Fisher was a little wooden. She's been out of the game for a while. That was, kind of a negative, but I'll let that pass. But, other than that, and then maybe, Finn and Rey dueling with Kylo and keeping up, that was kind of a negative. But then if you figure, well, maybe Rey's been trained before, that might work. And, Kylo was injured, so I'll let that slide. So it wasn't too big of a deal. Other than that, I mean, maybe that one scene on that freighter with the tentacle creatures, the CG was a little not the greatest there with the creatures, but it was quick. It was really quick. The dudes that from the Raid 2, those dudes were in that scene with Han on that freighter, and I thought the Raid 2 guys were going to do more in the film. I knew they were going to be in it, but I was surprised that they were just there and then they were gone and that was it. I mean, I guess maybe they helped with some of the fight choreography or something, maybe, but I thought they were going to do more, and that was a shame. So that was kind of a negative. That was unfortunate. I mean, these are all just really nitpick, minor things for me. And the whole thing being draped over A New Hope, being almost the same thing. Starkiller Base, Death Star, they both blow up. Rey's like the new Luke and all this. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I still loved it. I thought it was great. Seeing Mark Hamill at the end. I mean, I wish we would have heard some dialogue from him or seen a little more. We're obviously going to see more in episode 8. And I can't wait. I cannot wait for episode 8. And next we got Rogue One coming up, so we have that, and I hope that's going to be great to hold us over until episode 8 comes out. So we have a lot of great Star Wars coming up, and this film was just fantastic. I mean, I didn't know what to expect going in, and there's some things that didn't get answered, like who is Snoke? I mean, there was the theory and the rumor going around that he's Plagueis, Darth Plagueis. that's still a possibility because we have no idea um, who he really is, what's his background. Um, the CG on him was a little off too. The CG in this movie, I mean, I love the practical effects, and then when you had CG, it just I don't know. That was maybe a little nitpick as well, but we don't know who Plagueis or who Snoke is. Um, there were some other things here and there. Rey. Who is she? I mean, who are her parents? What is her situation? I mean, her background. We don't really know. That all we know is that she's sensitive in the Force, and her parents left her on Jakku, and that was it. So, and then there were some other things like how did Maz, is it Katana or Kanata? It's Kanata, Maz Kanata. How did she get Anakin's Luke lightsaber? How did she come across that? And she said, "Oh, that's a story for another time." And then 3PO's red arm. How did he get that? I think the red arm thing is going to be in one of the novels or something. I could be wrong, but I think that's going to be in one of those. So, and another thing is Max von Sydow at the beginning. I mean, I was hoping his character. I mean, his character was secret for the longest time, and he's in it for like 5 minutes, and that was it. I was like, wow, that's disappointing. I mean, somebody great like Max von Sydow, and his character gets taken out quick. But just a few minor things here and there. But overall, I thought it was fantastic. Definitely better than any of the prequels. You could put all those together, and this film is leaps and bounds better than those films. For me, this film is also better than Return of the Jedi, and it is so very close to A New Hope, and I think it's fitting because this film kind of mirrors A New Hope, and it's very much similar with a few twists here and there, and I'm okay with that. And so I would put this a good wow. I mean, I would probably put this my third favorite, my third favorite Star Wars. So I would go in order. I'm going to go here in order. I would go with um, Attack of the Clones. I would go with then Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith, and then higher up. I would go with Return of the Jedi. Then I would go with Force Awakens, A New Hope, and Empire Strikes Back. So this is exactly what I wanted out of this film. I didn't expect it to be better than Empire at all. But it's very good, and I think it fits in with the Star Wars saga very nicely. Very well done to J.J. Abrams and the whole team. They did an excellent job, and I can't wait for Episode 8. I can't wait for Rogue One, because now that we got this established, we know they can do it. We know now that they can make something very great. So I can't wait for Rogue One. That's going to be excellent. And then Episode 8. This is going to be a fantastic new franchise, guys. Fantastic. But you know what, guys? There's so much. I could talk about this for an hour. I really could. I mean, seeing everything in this film was excellent. Um, and, if there's anything I might have missed, guys, please write in the comments below. And also, please like and share the video. I would appreciate that. But that will do it for me for this video, guys. I give it a solid thumbs up. I approve of it. I love it. But that will do it for me for this video, guys. I am Chris for Christopher's Entertainment Blog. Thanks a lot, guys. Take it easy.